Live from Angkasa Puri, I'm Shuhaida Arifin and this is News at 10. Making tonight's headline. 12 March set as Johor State Election Polling Day. IPT students to return to campus in stages. The Election Commission EC has set 12th of March as the polling day for the 15th Johor State election. Its chairman, Dato' Abdul Ghani Saleh, when announcing the matter, also informed that nomination day will be on 26 February and early voting on 8th of March.
SPR telah melantik 56 pegawai pengurus pilihan raya dibantu oleh 186 penolong pegawai pengurus. Manakala bagi tujuan memantau semua aktiviti kempen pilihan raya sepanjang tempoh rasmi berkempen, SPR akan menubuhkan 56 pasukan petugas penguatkuasa kempen pilihan raya PPKPR yang dianggotai oleh wakil-wakil daripada Polis Diraja Malaysia, PDRM, pihak berkuasa tempatan PBT dan wakil-wakil calon yang bertanding.
1,021 polling centres with 4,638 voting channels would be used on the polling day, while 63 centres with 83 channels will be used for early voting. Dato' Abdul Ghani also said the state elections was estimated to cost 96 million ringgit. In a related development, EC has targeted 70% of the total 2.59 million registered voters to turn up for Johor State election. This is based on the Master Electoral Roll 2021, which was updated as of 21st January 2022 and will be used for the state election. The electoral roll contains 2,597,742 voters comprising 2,574,835 regular voters. Furthermore, there are 10,955 military personnel and their spouses, 11,576 police personnel and spouses, and 376 absent voters who are overseas. For postal voters in the country and abroad, Dato' Abdul Ghani said application for Category 1B or Malaysian citizens overseas and Category 1C involving 9 agencies in security and health sectors is now open until 18 February. Meanwhile, the application for Category 1A involving election workers, EC officials, police and military personnel, as well as media practitioners opens today until 24th February. He advised all eligible applicants to apply early to avoid problems. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri Yaakob today announced improved Keluarga Malaysia flood aid for micro, small and medium enterprises affected by the recent floods. He said through Tekun Nasional, a grant of 3,000 ringgit would be offered to every micro and informal businesses affected by the floods from a 50 million ringgit allocation that will benefit 15,000 of such businesses. In a statement today, the Prime Minister said an additional fund of 50 million ringgit would be provided under the Informal and Microfinancial Scheme, SPIM, while the SME Emergency Fund Programme, SMEEF, would be injected with 100 million ringgit to give more businesses the opportunity to take up financial aid. He said under SPIM, borrowers could take up a micro loan of up to 10,000 ringgit interest-free, adding the repayment period for this facility is up to 5 years with a moratorium of 12 months. While affected small and medium enterprises could seek interest-free loans of up to 100,000 ringgit from the SMEEF. As for the agriculture sector, where losses were estimated at 91 million ringgit, Prime Minister said an additional fund has been approved to aid agro-food enterprises affected by the floods. He said an additional 20 million ringgit would be injected to the Paddy Crop Disaster Fund (TBTP), while the Agro-Food Project Redevelopment Program (PPSPA) would receive additional allocation of 50 million ringgit. Entry of students into Higher Education Institutes (IPT) registered under the Higher Education Ministry (MOHE) will be allowed in stages starting 1st March. This includes public universities, polytechnics, community colleges, and private higher education institutions. The decision was made after the COVID-19 Quarter of Ministry studies the proposal from MOHE. Chairman Datuk Seri Hishamuddin Hussein informed that the Health Ministry has determined a set of standards operating procedures (SOP) which must be adhered to. This includes a limit of 70 to 100% of the capacity of respective IPTs, depending on students and staff to who have fully completed their COVID-19 vaccination and those who have not. For staff and students who have not yet fully completed their vaccination, a negative result of a RT-PCR test is required 3 days before entering the campus. Furthermore, they must take an RTK screening test weekly. For current and new international students, only those fully vaccinated are allowed into the country and must first quarantine for 7 days or 5 days if they have received a booster shot upon arrival. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri Yaakob has prayed for the swift recovery of Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin, who was tested positive for COVID-19. In his tweet, Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri also prayed for the chairman of the National Recovery Council and his family to continue to be under Allah's protection. The Premier said this in response to Tan Sri Muhyiddin's tweet confirming that he was tested positive for COVID-19 on the reverse transcription polymerase chain reaction (RT-PCR) test earlier today. In his tweet, Tan Sri Muhyiddin said he would undergo self-quarantine at home in accordance with the Health Ministry's protocols as he only experienced mild symptoms. Coming up, police remanded a teenager to facilitate investigation into the death of a newborn baby. Services sector revenue for the fourth quarter of 2021 increased by 5.3%, equivalent to 460 billion ringgit. The overall performance for services sector last year jumped 2.8% with a value of 1.7 trillion ringgit compared to 1.6 trillion ringgit in the previous year. It is fast approaching the achievement of 1.8 trillion ringgit recorded before the pandemic in 2019. The Department of Statistics Malaysia (DOSM) in a statement informed that the wholesale and retail trade subsector also showed a 5.1% increase with a value of 354.3 billion in the fourth quarter of 2021. An encouraging growth was also recorded by the accommodation sector with 1.8 billion ringgit in revenue, an increase of 52% year-on-year. In addition, increased revenues were also noted in other subsectors such as food and beverage 13.9 billion ringgit, information and communication 40.1 billion ringgit, as well as transportation and storage 26.9 billion ringgit. The increased revenue of the sector was also driven by the private health and education subsectors alongside arts, entertainment and recreation. The Royal Malaysia Police PDRM has confirmed that there have been 7 cases of death in police custody, and investigations revealed only one of them involved criminal elements. Bukit Aman Integrity and Standards Compliance Department JIPS Director Dato' Azri Ahmad said of the 7 cases reported, 4 of them were deaths in lockups. He added that the other 2 cases involved death at the hospital and the way to hospital. Dato' Azri gave the assurance the Criminal Investigation Unit on Deaths in Custody, USJKT, set up under JIPS last January, would investigate all cases of death in police custody and would be conducted transparently without any compromise.
Telah pun dituduh di mahkamah. Manakala bagi 6 kes yang lain, USJKT akan memajukan ke-6 sudden death report ini kepada Timbalan Pendakwa Raya untuk mendapatkan arahan lanjut sama ada memerlukan inquest atau sebaliknya. Dan untuk
Dato' Azri said PDRM had proposed that an integrated clinic be set up at police lockups to monitor the health of those in police custody. He said under the current PDRM Standard Operating Procedures SOP, persons in police custody who had health problems would be referred to the nearest hospital. A 15-year-old girl has been remanded for 7 days from today to facilitate investigation into a case involving the death of a newborn baby boy believed to have been stabbed in Kemaman yesterday. The remand order was issued by Magistrate Tengku Eliana Tuan Kamaruzaman at the Kemaman Hospital Maternity Ward after receiving an application from the police for investigations under Section 302 of the Penal Code. Tengku Eliana was seen arriving at the hospital at 12:40 p.m. accompanied by policemen, and it was learned that the remand process had taken place at the hospitals as the teenager was still receiving postnatal treatment. In the incident on Tuesday morning, a newborn baby boy was found dead with chest injuries believed to have been stabbed with a sharp object at a house in Felkrasri, Bandi Chukai. Kemaman District Police Chief Superintendent Hanyan Ramlan was reported to have said the police was notified of the incident by a health worker at about 10 a.m. yesterday, and preliminary investigations at the house found several sharp objects with traces of blood. A real estate agent pleaded not guilty in the Petaling Jaya Sessions Court to the charge of attempted murder when he crashed into a police roadblock, causing a policeman to be seriously injured. Yap Kahwai, 29, allegedly committed the offence on Lance Corporal Mio Muhammad Asri Mio Azlan Shah by ramming into the victim with a car at the roadblock mounted at Jalan Besar, Perkembangan at 1:50 a.m. on 5th February. The charge under Section 307 of the Penal Code provides for a jail term of up to 20 years if convicted. The accused has 16 criminal records related to drugs, robbery and vehicle theft. Judge Jamaluddin Mat denied bail and fixed 17 March for case mention. 2 government agency officers and 2 company owners have been remanded for 6 days to facilitate investigations into a bribery case. They are being probed regarding allegations of asking and receiving bribes for a road slope project worth 300 million ringgit. The remand order was issued by Magistrate Ahmad Ashraf Muhammad Kamal at the Putrajaya Magistrates Court following an application by the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission MACC. All suspects were male and aged between 39 and 42 years old, whom were arrested at the Putrajaya MACC headquarters yesterday after giving their statements. One officer had been stationed in Negeri Sembilan, while the other in Kuala Lumpur. They had allegedly asked for and received bribes from the company owners to obtain slope maintenance work projects in federal and state roads involving an allocation of about 300 million ringgit a year. MACC Special Operations Division Senior Director Tan Kang Sai, when contacted, confirmed the arrest and said the case is being investigated under Section 16 of the MACC Act 2009. And with that, we reach the end of tonight's news at 10. Our headline for today: Election Commission set 12 March as Johor State Polling Day. For more updates, don't forget to tune in to updates at noon at 12:30 tomorrow on TV2 and Saluran Berita RTM, or you can watch us online on RTM Clicks website or mobile app. Thank you for watching. I'm Shuhaida Arifin, and goodbye for now.